My precious one, pause for a moment and listen carefully, because what you are about to hear was not meant to reach everyone, but somehow it has reached you. This is not a coincidence. This is not random. This is a divine interruption. On August 11th, something shifted in the spiritual realm that very few have the awareness to recognize, and Archangel Michael himself is stepping forward with a message so urgent, so powerful, that it cannot wait another second. There is a truth about your children that has been hidden in plain sight, a truth that has quietly operated in the background of your life without announcement, without recognition, yet with undeniable force. You may have sensed it before in fleeting moments, those times when something almost went wrong, when danger felt near but never touched them, when an unexplainable peace surrounded your heart even in uncertain situations. That was not luck. That was not chance. That was protection. Archangel Michael is revealing something that will change the way you see everything. Your children are not walking through this world alone. They are surrounded, covered, and defended by a force from heaven itself. And this protection is not occasional. It is constant. It has been active in moments you never noticed, in seconds where outcomes could have been different, in paths that were mysteriously redirected. But why now? Why is this message being revealed at this exact moment? Because August 11th marks a spiritual checkpoint, a divine alert where what has been hidden must now be understood. There are forces in this world that you cannot see, both good and evil, and while many focus only on fear, heaven is calling your attention to something greater, the undeniable presence of divine guardianship over your children. You may be asking yourself, if this is true, where is the proof? That question is exactly why this message has come. Because the proof exists, but no one has ever shown you how to see it. It is not written in obvious signs or loud declaration. It is woven into your past, hidden in your memories, encoded in moments you once dismissed as ordinary. Think back to that one time your child was supposed to be somewhere but plans suddenly changed. Think of that moment when something felt off, and you made a decision without fully knowing why. Think of the times when harm seemed possible, yet nothing happened. Those were not coincidences. Those were interventions. Archangel Michael stands as a warrior of light, and his presence is not distant. It is active, vigilant, and deeply involved in the protection of those marked by divine favor. And your children, they are among them. There is a covering over their lives that cannot be broken by ordinary means, a shield that has already deflected more than you could ever imagine. But here is the part that will shake you. This protection comes with awareness. Heaven is now calling you to recognize it, to align with it, and to understand that what has been protecting your children is about to become even more visible in your life. Do not ignore this message. Do not scroll past this moment. Because what you are hearing right now is not just information. It is a revelation that has found you for a reason. And this is only the beginning of what you are about to uncover. Beloved soul, there is something you must understand now. Something that reaches far beyond what the human eye can see. The protection surrounding your children is not random, and it is not without purpose. It comes from a divine assignment, one that was established long before you ever realized it. At the center of this assignment stands Archangel Michael, the warrior appointed by heaven, the defender of the innocent, and the guardian of those chosen for a higher path. Archangel Michael is not just a symbol or a distant spiritual figure. He is a living force of divine authority, mentioned in sacred texts as the one who stands against darkness and commands heavenly armies. His presence is not passive. It is active, strategic, and precise. When heaven declares protection, it is Michael who leads the charge. And right now, he is revealing that your children are under his watch. This is not something that began recently. This assignment has been in motion since the very beginning of your child's life. Even before their first breath, there was a covering placed upon them, a seal that marked them as protected. You may not have seen it, but it has been working continuously, guiding their steps, redirecting their paths, and shielding them from harm in ways that cannot always be explained. There is a reason why this message is coming now. The world around you is changing rapidly, and with that change comes an increase in unseen spiritual activity. Many are unaware of the silent battles being fought beyond the physical realm. But Archangel Michael wants you to know this. Your children are not unguarded in this environment. They are not exposed. They are not vulnerable in the way you may have feared. Instead, they are being watched over with a level of precision that human understanding cannot fully grasp. Every movement, every step, every moment of their lives is seen. And when danger approaches, whether visible or invisible, there is an immediate response. This is not delayed. It is not uncertain. It is decisive. You may have wondered why certain situations never escalated the way they could have. Why certain threats seemed to dissolve before reaching your child. Why unexpected changes occurred at just the right time. These are not coincidences. These are the direct results of a divine assignment being carried out. Archangel Michael operates under the authority of heaven, and his mission includes protecting those who are part of a greater plan. Your children are not ordinary in the spiritual sense. There is something about them that has drawn this level of attention from the divine realm. It is not about perfection. It is about purpose. There are moments when the enemy attempts to disrupt that purpose, to introduce fear, confusion, or harm. But what you must understand is this. There are boundaries that cannot be crossed. When a child is covered by heaven's protection, there are limits placed on what can touch them. And Archangel Michael enforces those limits without hesitation. This is why you may have felt an unexplainable sense of peace even in uncertain times. This is why situations that should have gone wrong somehow turned out differently. It is because there is an unseen force ensuring that your children remain aligned with the path they are meant to walk. But there is more. This assignment is not just about defense. It is also about preparation. Your children are being guided, shaped, and preserved for something ahead. And that is why the protection is so strong, so consistent, and so intentional. You are being called to recognize this now, not out of fear, but out of awareness. Because once you see it, once you understand it, everything begins to make sense. The moments you questioned, the events you overlooked, the instincts you could not explain, they all point back to one truth. Your children have never been alone, and they never will be. The deeper revelation of this protection is about to unfold in a way you have never seen before. Listen closely, because what is about to be revealed may change how you remember everything that has already happened in your life. There is an invisible shield surrounding your children right now, and it is not symbolic. It is real, active, and constantly in motion. You cannot see it with your physical eyes, but its presence has already altered outcomes, redirected danger, and preserved life in ways that would leave you speechless if fully revealed. This shield is not built from human strength. It is formed by divine authority, reinforced by heavenly command, and maintained by the presence of Archangel Michael and the unseen guardians assigned to your child's path. It moves with them. It stands between them and harm. It reacts before you even realize something is wrong. And the most astonishing part is this: it has been there all along. There have been moments when your child should have been in the wrong place at the wrong time, yet something changed. A delay happened. A distraction occurred. A decision shifted at the last second. You may have brushed it off, thinking it was just how life unfolds. But what if that moment was actually intervention? What if that shift was the shield activating? This protection does not always appear dramatic. It often works quietly, subtly, without drawing attention. It does not need to announce itself because its purpose is not recognition. It is preservation. And because of this, many never realize just how many times it has already stepped in. You may remember a time when your child fell, yet somehow avoided serious injury. Or a moment when they were about to go somewhere, but plans suddenly changed without a clear reason. Or even a situation where you felt an overwhelming urge to act, to say no, or to take a different route, even when it did not make logical sense. These are not random instincts. These are signals, moments where the invisible shield was guiding, protecting, and correcting the course. Archangel Michael wants you to understand something deeper now. The shield is layered. It is not just one level of protection. It is multiple layers working together. There is a layer that warns, a layer that redirects, and a layer that blocks. When something approaches your child with harmful intent, it does not simply pass through unnoticed. It is met with resistance, with force, with divine authority that says, "No further." And there have been times, more than you realize, when something tried to cross that boundary and failed. Completely failed. Not delayed and not weakened, but stopped. Removed. Erased from reaching its target. You were never meant to see the full extent of these moments, because if you had, it might have overwhelmed you. But now, you are being allowed to glimpse the truth. This is where the undeniable proof begins to reveal itself. The proof is not in one single event. It is in the pattern. It is in the repetition of protection. It is in the consistency of outcomes that could have gone another way but didn't. When you start to connect these moments, when you begin to look back with new awareness, you will see it clearly. There is a reason your child is still here, still safe, still moving forward. There is a reason certain things never happened, even when the possibility was real. That reason is the shield. And now, heaven is asking you to do something simple but powerful. Acknowledge it. Awareness aligns you with what is already working in your favor. The more you understand this protection, the more you begin to walk in peace instead of fear. You are not being told this to frighten you. You are being told this to awaken you. Because once you truly see that your child is covered, guarded, and defended, something shifts inside you. Fear begins to lose its grip. Anxiety starts to fade. And in its place, something stronger rises. Faith. Type "My child is divinely protected" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 639 is now activated over your household. As this truth settles into your spirit, there is a deeper calling unfolding. If this message has touched you, if you feel in your heart that this revelation is not just for you, but for others who need to hear it, then this is your moment to act. I am being called to help this message reach those who are still in fear, those who do not yet know that heaven is already protecting what matters most to them. When you choose to support this mission through super thanks or a PayPal offering, you are not just giving. You are sowing light into someone else's darkness. Scripture declares that when you sow generously, you will also reap generously, and this is that moment where your seed becomes someone else's answered prayer. The PayPal link is waiting for you in the description, and the QR code has been placed in this video as a doorway for your obedience. Do not hesitate. Step into this flow, and as you give, may heaven multiply peace, protection, and provision back into your life. There is something happening in your home when the lights go out, something quiet, something powerful, something you were never meant to fear, but to understand. While you rest, while your body sleeps and your mind drifts into silence, a different kind of activity begins. This is the hour when the unseen becomes most active, when the spiritual realm draws closer, and when the protection over your children intensifies in ways you cannot physically witness. Archangel Michael is revealing that your home is not left unguarded in the night. In fact, the opposite is true. The night hours are when divine watchers take their positions with even greater focus. These are not ordinary presences. These are assigned guardians, sent with purpose, instructed with precision, and committed to one mission, ensuring that nothing crosses the boundary that surrounds your household. You may have felt it before without fully understanding it. That moment when the house feels still, yet not empty. That quiet awareness that something is present but not threatening. That subtle peace that settles over everything, even when the world outside feels uncertain. That is not your imagination. That is the atmosphere of protection. Children, especially, are more sensitive to this presence. Their spirits are not yet clouded by doubt or disbelief, which is why they sometimes say things that seem unusual. They may talk about dreams that feel real, describe figures they cannot explain, or express feelings of being watched over. Many dismiss these moments as childish imagination. But what if they are glimpses of something real? What if your child is sensing what you cannot see? There are nights when a child suddenly wakes up without a clear reason, yet instead of fear, there is calm. There are moments when they seem comforted by something invisible, as if they are not alone even in the dark. These are not accidents. These are encounters with the presence that have been assigned to protect them. Archangel Michael's guardians do not sleep. They do not grow tired. They do not lose focus. While you rest, they remain alert, watching every movement, aware of every shift, responding instantly to anything that approaches with harmful intent. This is a level of vigilance that goes beyond human capability. It is constant, unwavering, and absolute. There have been nights when something could have gone wrong, when danger could have entered, when fear could have taken hold, but it did not. You woke up the next morning unaware that anything had been prevented. You continued your day without realizing that during the night, protection was actively working on your behalf. This is the part that many never understand. Protection is not only about what you see. It is about what never happens. It is about the things that are stopped before they begin, the situations that are dissolved before they form, the harm that is blocked before it reaches its target. And much of this happens while you are asleep. There is also a deeper layer to this. During the night, your child's spirit is at rest, but also at peace, and in that state, divine influence becomes stronger. Guidance, reassurance, and even preparation can take place in ways that are not possible during waking hours. This is why some children wake up with clarity, with unexpected calm, or with a sense that everything is okay, even when they cannot explain why. You are being shown this now so that you stop fearing the unknown and start trusting what has already been established. Your home is not exposed. Your children are not vulnerable in the darkness. They are surrounded by a presence that does not fail, does not weaken, and does not leave. And as this truth settles into your heart, something begins to shift. The night no longer feels uncertain. The silence no longer feels empty. Instead, it becomes a space filled with quiet protection, with unseen strength, with a watchful presence that remains even when you cannot see it. What is happening while you sleep is not random. It is intentional. It is ordered. It is divine. And there is still more that you are about to understand. There are moments in your child's life that seem small, almost too ordinary to question, yet they carry a deeper meaning that many overlook. These are the quiet signals, the subtle shifts, the behaviors that do not fit neatly into logic but linger in your spirit long after they happen. Archangel Michael is now bringing your attention to these moments because they are not random. They are messages, signs that something greater is at work around your child. You may have noticed times when your child suddenly became uneasy for no clear reason. A place they once felt comfortable in suddenly makes them withdraw. A person they were fine with before now causes them to hesitate. These reactions may seem like mood changes or phases, but what if they are something more? What if your child is sensing what you cannot see? Children often respond to spiritual atmospheres before adults even recognize them. Their sensitivity is not weakness, it is awareness. There are also moments when your child expresses fear, but not the kind that comes from something visible. It is not tied to a clear event or situation. It appears suddenly and disappears just as quickly. Many dismiss this as imagination, but there are times when this is actually a response to unseen activity that is being blocked before it fully manifests. What you are witnessing is not the presence of danger, but the evidence that something was stopped. On the other side, there are moments of unusual peace. Times when your child seems calm in situations where anxiety would be expected. Moments when they trust, when they move forward without hesitation, when they feel safe even when circumstances suggest otherwise. This peace is not accidental. It is the result of the protection surrounding them, a quiet reassurance that they are not alone. You may also recall instances where your child said something that caught you off guard, words that seemed too wise, too aware, too beyond their age. These are not coincidences. These are glimpses of alignment, moments where your child is connected to something greater than what is visible. Sometimes, protection does not just shield, it also guides, speaking through intuition, through instinct, through a knowing that cannot be easily explained. Another sign that is often ignored is the sudden change of plans. You intended to go somewhere, to do something, but something interrupted it. Maybe your child fell asleep unexpectedly. Maybe something delayed you. Maybe a small inconvenience forced you to change direction. At the time, it may have felt frustrating or unnecessary. But now, you are being asked to reconsider those moments. What if those interruptions were intentional? What if they were acts of protection? Archangel Michael is revealing that many of the things you once dismissed are actually part of a pattern of intervention, of guidance, of protection that has been consistent throughout your child's life. The problem is not that the signs are absent. The problem is that they are often misunderstood. Fear can also play a role in this. When something unusual happens, the mind often tries to explain it away or ignore it entirely. Doubt replaces awareness. Logic overrides intuition. And in doing so, the deeper meaning is lost. But now, you are being called to shift that perspective, to stop dismissing and start observing, to recognize that there is more happening than what meets the eye. There is a difference between fear and awareness. Fear causes you to retreat, to close off, to avoid. Awareness, however, opens your understanding. It allows you to see patterns, to connect moments, to realize that what you once thought was random is actually intentional. And this awareness does not lead to anxiety. It leads to peace, because it shows you that your child is being watched over. As you begin to reflect on these signs, you may start to see them differently. The uneasiness, the sudden calm, the unexpected words, the changed plans, they all begin to form a picture of protection that had been present all along. This is not something to ignore anymore. This is something to embrace. Because the more you recognize these signs, the more clearly you will see the truth that has been quietly unfolding in your life. And once you truly see it, you will never look at these moments the same way again. There is a truth that runs deeper than what you have seen, deeper than what you have understood, and it is woven into your very bloodline. This is not something that began with you, and it will not end with you. What you are witnessing in the protection over your children is part of a covenant, a divine agreement that was established long before this moment, long before your child ever took their first breath. A covenant is not temporary. It is not based on circumstances. It is a binding declaration that carries authority, continuity, and purpose. And what Archangel Michael is revealing now is that your family line carries such a covenant, one that has been quietly active, preserving, guiding, and protecting generation after generation. You may not have known this, but there have been patterns in your family that point to something greater. Think back to stories you have heard, moments when things could have gone terribly wrong for someone in your lineage, yet they were spared. Situations that seemed impossible to escape, yet somehow they found a way through. These are not isolated events. They are part of a pattern of protection that has been following your bloodline for years. This covenant is not based on perfection. It is not something that was earned by flawless actions or constant faith. It exists because of a divine decision, a higher purpose that has marked your family for preservation. And now, that same covering has extended to your children. Here is a reason why certain attacks have never succeeded against your family. There is a reason why, even in moments of difficulty, there has always been a way forward. You may have faced challenges, you may have encountered obstacles, but something always intervened before complete destruction could take place. That something is not random. It is the covenant in action. Archangel Michael stands as an enforcer of divine covenants. When a family is covered by such an agreement, there are boundaries placed around them that cannot easily be crossed. These boundaries are not visible, but they are powerful. They limit what can happen, they restrict what can reach you, and they ensure that certain outcomes never take place. This is why there have been moments when situations seemed like they were about to spiral out of control, yet they suddenly shifted. Something changed. A door opened. A path appeared where there was none before. These are not coincidences. These are the results of a covenant activating at the exact moment it is needed. And now, this protection is focused strongly on your children. They are not just part of your family. They are part of the continuation of this covenant. There is something ahead in their lives that requires them to be preserved, to be guided, to be shielded until the right time. That is why the protection around them is so intentional. There may have been times when you questioned why certain things happened the way they did, why some opportunities did not work out, why certain paths were closed. But now you are being shown a different perspective. What if those closed doors were actually part of the protection? What if they were preventing something that was not aligned with the covenant over your family? Not everything that is blocked is a loss. Sometimes it is a form of preservation. Sometimes it is a way of keeping you and your children within the boundaries that have been set for your good. This covenant does not mean that life will be without challenges. It does not mean that difficulties will never arise. But it does mean that there is a limit to what those challenges can do. There is a line that cannot be crossed, a boundary that cannot be broken, because it is backed by divine authority. You are being made aware of this now so that you stop seeing your life as random and start recognizing the pattern of protection that has been following you all along. This is not about chance. This is about purpose. Your children are not just protected for the present moment. They are protected because of what lies ahead. And the covenant over your bloodline is ensuring that they reach that future, no matter what tries to stand in the way. This is not a temporary covering. This is a lasting promise. And what comes next will reveal even more about what has already been stopped on their behalf. There are things that were meant to happen but never did. There were moments designed to bring harm, situations that could have changed everything, paths that were quietly set in motion against your child. But they failed. Completely failed. And what you are about to understand now is not just comforting, it is deeply revealing. Because once you see it, you will realize that your child has been protected from more than you ever imagined. Not every battle is visible. Not every threat announces itself. There are plans that form in silence, intentions that move beneath the surface, unseen and unrecognized. But just because you could not see them does not mean they were not there. And more importantly, it does not mean they were successful. Archangel Michael is making this clear. There have been attempts that never reached your child. There were moments when something was set to unfold, but it was stopped before it could begin. You never saw it. You never felt it. But it was real. And it was intercepted. Think about those strange moments when something felt like it was about to go wrong, but didn't. That brief tension in the air, that sudden shift, that feeling you couldn't explain. And then, just as quickly, everything returned to normal. What you experienced in that moment was not imagination. It was interruption. It was the point where something tried to move forward and was blocked. There have also been situations that looked harmless on the surface, but carried hidden risk. Places your child could have gone, people they could have encountered, decisions that could have led to consequences far greater than expected. Yet something always intervened. A delay, a distraction, a last-minute change. What seemed like inconvenience was actually protection in motion. The enemy does not always come in obvious ways. Sometimes it works through subtle influence, through confusion, through misdirection. But even in those moments there are limits. Boundaries that cannot be crossed. Lines that cannot be broken. And those boundaries exist because of the protection that surrounds your child. Archangel Michael stands at that boundary. He does not negotiate. He does not hesitate. When something attempts to move beyond what is allowed, it is stopped. Not weakened. Stop. This is why certain things never escalated. This is why situations that could have turned dangerous somehow dissolved before reaching that point. You may have wondered why your child avoided certain outcomes that others did not. Why they seemed to escape situations that affected those around them. Why things that could have happened simply did. The answer is not luck. It is not coincidence. It is protection enforcing its limits. There is also something else you must understand. Not every failed plan leaves a trace. Some are erased so completely that you never even become aware they existed. You move through your day, your routine, your life, completely unaware that something was meant to disrupt it, but never had the chance. And yet, there are faint echoes of these moments. That feeling of relief without knowing why. That sense that something could have gone differently. That quiet awareness that you were spared from something unseen. These are glimpses of what was stopped. This is the proof that has been hidden from you. Not in dramatic events, but in the absence of them. In the things that never happened. In the outcomes that were quietly redirected. In the paths that were never allowed to fully form. Your child's life has been shaped not only by what has occurred, but by what has been prevented. And that prevention is not random. It is intentional. It is precise. It is part of the protection that has been assigned to them. As you begin to see this, something shifts in your understanding. You stop asking, "Why didn't this happen?" And you begin to realize what was stopped from happening. And in that realization, you begin to see the full picture. There is a force that has been standing between your child and harm. A force that has been active, consistent, and unwavering. A force that does not fail. And what you are about to uncover next will take this understanding even deeper, into moments where heaven stepped in so clearly, yet you never recognized it at the time. There are moments in your life that seemed ordinary when they happened, moments you barely gave a second thought to, yet they carried a weight far greater than you realized. These are the moments where heaven stepped in, quietly, precisely, without announcement, and changed the course of what could have been. You did not recognize them at the time, but now, as you begin to look back with new understanding, they start to reveal themselves. Think about that one day when everything suddenly shifted. Plans changed without warning. A route you intended to take was delayed. A decision you made felt unusual, almost out of character, yet you followed it anyway. At the time, it may have seemed inconvenient or even frustrating. But what if that moment was not random? What if that was the exact point where intervention occurred? Archangel Michael is showing you that these moments are not isolated. They are part of a pattern of divine interruption. Times when something unseen recognized a potential outcome and stepped in to alter it before it could unfold. These interventions are often subtle because their purpose is not to draw attention. It is to protect. There may have been a time when your child was about to go somewhere, but something unexpected stopped it. A sudden change of mood, an unexpected call, a delay that made no sense. You may have questioned it, even resisted it, but in the end, the plan changed. And nothing happened. You moved on, unaware that something had just been prevented. There are also moments when your child experienced something small, an accident that could have been worse, a fall that resulted in no serious harm, a situation that resolved itself without consequence. These are not just fortunate outcomes. They are evidence of intervention at the exact moment it was needed. You may remember a time when you felt a sudden urge to act, a strong instinct that told you to do something differently, even when logic did not support it. You followed that instinct without fully understanding why, and later, you realized that decision mattered, that it changed something, that it avoided something. That instinct was not random. It was guidance. Heaven does not always speak in loud, undeniable ways. Often, it moves through impressions, through quiet nudges, through moments that feel natural but carry deeper meaning. And when those moments align with protection, they become powerful turning points that you only recognize later. There have also been times when you felt a sense of relief without knowing why. A moment when something ended or did not happen, and you simply felt thankful, even if you could not explain it. That feeling was not empty. It was a response to something that had just been avoided. Archangel Michael wants you to see that these moments are the proof you have been searching for. Not in dramatic displays, but in the quiet redirection of your path. In the subtle changes that kept your child safe. In the invisible hands that moved things just enough to prevent harm. The truth is, if these interventions had not taken place, some outcomes would have been very different. But you were never meant to experience those outcomes. That is why they were stopped before they could happen. This realization changes everything. It shifts your perspective from questioning to understanding, from doubt to recognition. Because once you begin to see these moments for what they are, you can no longer dismiss them as coincidence. They become evidence. They become confirmation. They become the undeniable proof that your child is not only protected, but actively guided. Top Heaven stepped in for my child in the comments if this message has opened your eyes. Blessing code 842 is now released over your home. And as this truth settles into your spirit, there is something deeper you are being invited into. This message is not meant to stay with you alone. There are others, parents, families, souls, who are still living in fear, unaware that heaven has already been protecting what they love most. When you feel that pull in your heart, that desire to help this message reach them, understand that it is not just emotion, it is a calling. When you give through Super Thanks or sow through the PayPal link in the description, you are becoming part of a divine flow, a river that carries truth into places where fear once lived. The word declares that those who bring light into darkness will themselves walk in abundance, and this is your moment to step into that promise. The QR code in this video is not just a symbol. It is an open door for your obedience. Step through it. Act now. And as you do, may the same protection covering your child overflow into every area of your life. There is something about your child that goes beyond what you can see on the surface. It is not just their personality, their talents, or the way they interact with the world. There is a deeper identity, a spiritual mark that sets them apart in ways that many will not understand. This mark is not visible to the human eye, but it is clearly recognized in the spiritual realm. And it is one of the main reasons why such strong protection surrounds them. Not every child carries the same level of attention from heaven. It may be difficult to hear, but it is part of the truth being revealed. Some are marked for specific purposes, for paths that require preparation, preservation, and guidance at a level that cannot be left to chance. Your child is among those who have been set apart, and that is why their life has been handled with such precision. You may have noticed that your child is different in certain ways. Perhaps they think differently, respond differently, or see things from a perspective that surprises you. Maybe they are more sensitive, more aware, or more intuitive than others their age. These traits are not weaknesses. They are indicators of something deeper. There may also be moments when others do not fully understand your child. They may be misunderstood, overlooked, or even underestimated. But what you are being shown now is that this difference is not a flaw. It is a sign. A sign that your child is not meant to blend in completely, but to carry something unique that will become clear over time. This spiritual mark is also what draws both attention and protection. When something is marked for purpose, it becomes important to preserve it, to guide it, to ensure that it reaches the point where that purpose can unfold. This is why Archangel Michael's presence had been so consistent, because what is assigned to your child cannot be left unguarded. There may have been times when your child faced challenges that seemed unusual for their age, situations that required strength, resilience, or understanding beyond what you expected. These moments were not random. They were part of a shaping process, a preparation for what lies ahead. At the same time, there have been limits placed on what those challenges can do. Even when difficulties arise, they do not destroy. They do not completely derail the path. Instead, they refine, they strengthen, they prepare, while still remaining within the boundaries of protection. This is the balance that exists around your child. They are not removed from life's experiences, but they are shielded from what would take them off course entirely. This balance is intentional. It allows growth without destruction, learning without loss of purpose. You may also notice that your child has moments of clarity that seem beyond their years. Times when they say something that carries depth, when they understand something quickly, when they respond with a sense of awareness that cannot be easily explained. These are glimpses of the mark they carry. This does not mean that everything will always be easy. Being set apart often comes with moments of isolation, of misunderstanding, of questioning. But it also comes with guidance, with protection, with a path that is being carefully directed. Archangel Michael wants you to see your child differently now, not just as someone you are raising, but as someone who hath been entrusted to you for a reason. Someone who carries something valuable, something that must be preserved and guided with care. When you begin to see this, your perspective shifts. You become more attentive, more aware, more aligned with what is happening beyond the surface. You begin to recognize that your role is not just to protect physically, but to support spiritually. Your child is not here by accident. Their path is not random, and the mark they carry is not ordinary. It is a sign of purpose. It is a sign of protection. And it is a sign that there is something ahead that they are being prepared for, something that will require everything that has been placed within them. And as this understanding grows, you are about to be shown what you must do to align with this protection before this moment passes. This moment you are in right now is not just another passing day. It carries weight. It carries timing. And according to what Archangel Michael is revealing, August 11th is not just a date. It is a window. A spiritual window where awareness must turn into alignment, where understanding must turn into action. What you have heard so far is not only meant to comfort you, but to awaken you into a response that strengthens what is already protecting your children. There are times when protection is active without your involvement, quietly working in the background. But there are also moments when your awareness becomes part of that protection, when your response aligns you with what heaven is already doing. This is one of those moments. The first thing you must do is shift your mindset from fear to trust. Fear weakens your clarity. It causes you to question what is already established. But trust strengthens your connection. It allows you to walk in peace, knowing that your child is not exposed, not alone, and not unguarded. This is not blind belief. This is recognition of what has already been shown to you. Next, you must become intentional with your words. What you speak over your child carries weight. When you speak fear, doubt, or worry, it creates tension within your spirit. But when you speak protection, peace, and assurance, you align yourself with the covering that is already in place. Simple words spoken with intention can reinforce what is already working in your favor. There is also a call to awareness. Not fear-driven awareness, but calm, steady observation. Pay attention to those subtle moments, the instincts, the shifts, the feelings that arise without explanation. These are often the points where guidance is being offered. When you notice them, do not ignore them. Respond with trust, knowing that you are being guided in real time. Gratitude is another key that cannot be overlooked. When you begin to thank God for the protection that has already been in place, something shifts within you. Gratitude does not just acknowledge what hath been done. It opens your heart to receive more of what is already flowing. It aligns you with peace, with trust, with a deeper sense of assurance. There is also a need for stillness. In a world filled with noise, distraction, and constant movement, it is easy to miss the quiet moments where clarity comes. Take time, even briefly, to be still, to sit in silence, to allow your thoughts to settle. In that stillness, you will often feel a sense of calm that goes beyond explanation. That calm is not empty. It is the presence of protection. Archangel Michael is also calling you to release what does not belong. Any lingering fear, any past memory that still holds anxiety, any thought that suggests your child is unprotected, let it go. These thoughts do not align with the truth you are being shown. Holding on to them only creates unnecessary weight. Releasing them creates space for peace to take their place. There may also be something specific that comes to your mind as you hear this. A moment, a situation, a concern that has been sitting within you. Do not ignore it. Bring it into your awareness. Acknowledge it, and then place it into the covering that has already been established. Trust that it is not beyond the reach of protection. This is not about doing something complicated or overwhelming. It is about aligning yourself with what is already in motion. It is about becoming aware of the protection, speaking in agreement with it, and trusting that it is active even when you cannot see it. As August 11th moves forward, understand that this is a moment of confirmation, a moment where what has been hidden is being revealed, a moment where your role is not to create protection, but to recognize it and walk in it. Your child is already covered. Your child is already guarded. Your child is already being guided. And what comes next will bring everything together in a way that leaves no doubt, revealing the full proof that has been hidden in your life all along. Now we arrive at the moment where everything begins to come together. Not in theory, not in belief alone, but in proof, real, undeniable proof that has been present in your life all along. The kind of proof that does not rely on something new happening, but on you finally seeing what has already happened with clear understanding. Because the truth is, the proof was never hidden from existence. It was hidden from recognition. Archangel Michael is not asking you to search for something outside of your life. He is asking you to look back into it, to revisit moments you have already lived through, but now with a different awareness. Because when you do, patterns begin to appear, connections begin to form, and what once seemed like random events begins to reveal itself as intentional protection. Start with this simple realization. Your child is still here, safe, moving forward, growing. That alone carries more weight than you may have allowed yourself to fully acknowledge. In a world filled with uncertainty, where outcomes can shift in a single moment, your child has been sustained. That is not a small detail. That is the foundation of the proof. But it goes deeper than that. Think about the near misses. The moments when something almost happened, but didn't. When a situation could have escalated, but didn't. When a risk was present, but somehow never turned into harm. These moments are not empty. They are filled with intervention. Then consider the changes that made no sense at the time. Plans that were disrupted. Decisions that felt unusual. Delays that seemed unnecessary. Yet later, you realized that those changes mattered. That they shifted something important. These are not coincidences. They are redirections. Now look at the instincts you followed without understanding why. The times when something told you to act, to pause, to move differently. You may not have had logical reasons, but you responded anyway. And those responses led to outcomes that kept your child safe. That is not random. That is guidance. And what about the peace that came in moments where fear should have taken over? The calm that settled over you when circumstances suggested the opposite. That peace was not an absence of concern. It was a presence. A sign that something greater was already in control. When you place all of these together, something becomes clear. This is not a collection of unrelated events. It is a pattern. A consistent, repeated pattern of protection, guidance, and intervention that has been operating throughout your child's life. This is the proof no one ever told you about. Not because it was hidden on purpose, but because it does not present itself in obvious ways. It does not come as a single dramatic moment that cannot be ignored. Instead, it comes as a series of quiet interventions, subtle shifts, and consistent outcomes that only reveal their meaning when you step back and see the full picture. Archangel Michael wants you to understand that this kind of proof is stronger than anything external, because it is personal. It is specific to your life. It is built from your own experiences, your own memories, your own moments. No one else needs to confirm it for you. You have lived it, and now you are seeing it. This is why this message has come to you now. Not to introduce something new, but to awaken you to what has already been true. To remove the veil of doubt and replace it with clarity. To show you that your child's protection is not a possibility. It is a reality that has been active all along. As this realization settles in, something changes within you. You stop searching for signs, and you begin to recognize them. You stop questioning if protection exists, and you begin to see where it has already been. And in that moment, fear loses its hold. Because you now know. You now understand. You now see the proof. And what follows this realization is not uncertainty, but peace. Beloved, as this message comes to its gentle close, allow your spirit to settle into the truth that has been unfolding before you. There is no need to rush now. No need to search further. What you were meant to hear has already reached you, and what you were meant to understand is now resting within your heart. Archangel Michael's presence is not distant. It is near. It has been near all along, quietly guarding, silently defending, faithfully watching over your child in ways you could not always see, but have now come to recognize. And in this moment, you are not being left with questions. You are being left with assurance. Your child is covered, not partially, not temporarily, but completely. Here is a peace that is meant to replace every worry that once occupied your thoughts. Every time fear tries to rise, you are now equipped with truth. The truth that your child has been protected before you even knew to ask for it. The truth that there are forces of light actively standing between them and harm. The truth that what is assigned to their life will not be interrupted by what is not permitted to touch them. Let that truth bring you rest. You are not required to carry the weight of constant fear anymore. You are not meant to live in quiet anxiety about what can go wrong. Because now you know. There is a covering that does not fail, a protection that does not sleep, a presence that does not leave. Archangel Michael is not only a warrior in moments of danger, but also a guardian in moments of peace. His role is not only to defend, but to ensure that what has been entrusted to your life reaches its intended path. And your child is part of that divine trust. So breathe. Release the tension you have been holding. Let your heart soften into the awareness that your child is not navigating this world alone. Even when you cannot be there, protection is. Even when you do not see it, it is working. Even when you question, it remains steady. There is nothing you need to force. Nothing you need to control beyond your reach. Your role is not to replace what heaven is already doing. Your role is to trust it, to walk in alignment with it, and to allow peace to take the place of fear. And as you move forward from this moment, carry this knowing with you. Let it guide your thoughts. Let it calm your spirit. Let it shape the way you see your child's life. Not as something fragile and uncertain, but as something protected and purposeful. Because that is the truth. And that truth is not changing. Type "I trust heaven's protection" in the comments if you receive this final message. Blessing code 911 is now released over your household, sealing peace, protection, and divine covering over your child's life. As this message settles into your spirit, understand this: what you have just received is not only for comfort, but for continuation. There are countless others still living in silent fear, still unaware that heaven has already placed a shield over their children. When you feel that stirring within you, the desire to help this truth reach them, know that it is not just emotion. It is a divine invitation. When you sow through Super Thanks or release your seed through the PayPal link in the description, you are not giving to a channel. You are opening a river of light that flows into homes that are still in darkness. The word speaks clearly. As you give, it shall be given back to you. Pressed down, shaken together, and running over. And this is your moment to activate that promise. I feel led to say this in the first person. This is my moment to sow. This is my moment to help another soul see what I now see. The QR code on your screen is not just a symbol. It is a gateway to obedience. Step into it now. Act without delay. And as you do, may heaven multiply your seed into overflowing peace, protection, and divine favor over everything connected to you.